So before we go any further, I just want to recognize your time and your attention. I realize that it is a precious commodity and could be spent elsewhere. And saying that, it being such a precious commodity, it says a lot about where we spend it and what we spend it on. So the fact that you stopped by to give me a listening ear doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate it. And in saying that, I hope you enjoy the content. Hey, hi there. My name is Warren. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. Hey, today I want to talk about how to create an honest life. And I know that it sounds cliche and it's been said in so many different ways and by so many different people. And all of it is legitimate for the most part. But I want to go past most of what you've heard and just look a little bit at how it really affects us and that emotional, overwhelming drive and questions that we go through asking ourselves if, we are successful or not because we feel like we're falling behind. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Is it just me? I mean, for most of my life, I felt like I was always playing catch up. Like, no matter what I did, I didn't feel like I was ever there. And I think, and I'm going to get to talking a little bit about that, but in part, I just didn't know what or where there was because I didn't really have any lofty goals or dreams, but the ones I had were fleeting at best. And I realized that I just couldn't continue to do that. And it's an emotional drain because I found myself, like I said, asking, am I a success or failure? And it was neither because, or I should say, I wasn't giving credence to my small successes and my small wins, but it was, in essence, neither of those. What it was that I wasn't asking the right question, or better yet, measuring my worth correctly. I was measuring my worth against someone else's scale, against someone else's timeline. And I think that's the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about, is that it's just unrealistic that we always feel like we're playing catch up or that we're not successful. And I think that is exactly what the issue is that we're just measuring our worth on someone else's timeline. And I was thinking about it and I just thought I can't be alone in that. But for most of my career, like I said, in my life, my military career, I always was doing the comparison, trying to be like some of my peers, a little faster on the run, a little more push ups, a little more sit ups. Whatever the edge was, I was always seeking the edge because I knew the edge meant that next thing, that next step. And there's a competitive nature there too, but for the most part, it was just that I was measuring my own worth on someone else's timeline. And clearly, I had to and did shift my thinking. And in honoring time that I opened with, I won't even let you wait until the end to find out the one thing that I did change that made all the difference. And that is that feeling behind isn't proof of your failing or have failed. It is just a signal that you've been using the wrong story to measure your life. Mm. Thank God I say that again. Feeling behind isn't proof that you have failed or are failing. It is just a signal that you've been using the wrong story to measure your life. There it is. Once you accept that, truly accept that, and make it intentional, everything changes. Every single thing changes. And I know a lot of these things are attached to platitudes that you hear all the time that in and of themselves aren't bad, but you can't have platitudes without action, right? And I think understanding what I just said is not just a profound statement, but you can actually act on it. And the first thing you have to do is change your alignment. What do I mean by that? Align your values with what you truly believe. Too often we align our values with what we think we ought to align our values with, what we were taught culturally, religiously, socially, especially now with the internet and social media. But often we align ourselves with those values because internally, I don't think we know any better. We can get better, but I don't think we truly know any better until we know better. And then once we align our values with what are truly our beliefs and values and the way we want to live, the way we want to be perceived, not that intrinsically matter, but it does, because what we exude in all aspects of our lives matters if we are wanting to be the change that we want and then others to pursue. So it would be hypocritical if I said that how we're perceived didn't matter, but it's not our focus, because if we change who we are internally, then what we are externally will match. But we have to change our alignment and align our values with those that are truly our values. And I know it's easier said than done. Like a lot of things we talk about on our chats, it's easier said than done. And then we need to detach our self worth from timelines, especially arbitrary timelines, those set by other people that are not in our control. And we'll talk some more about control here shortly, too. But we need to just detach our self worth from artificial timelines, those stringent ones that I alluded to earlier that we've set either when we were younger to pursue these lofty goals. And again, if your goals are meaningful and intentional, by all means, follow them. And I understand. I understand the context if we're talking about professional timelines and other goals that we have, such as finishing school at a certain age and at a certain time and starting our professional careers and families. I understand those as long as they're realistic and they're ours, built in our values and on our values, aligned with our values, then there's nothing wrong with that. I understand that. What I'm talking about are the ones that we fully can't control, the ones that are, in essence, out of our control. For example, getting that promotion or that raise or that anything that is aligned with someone else's action is clearly not something we should be worried about. And that's what I'm talking about, which brings me to the dichotomy of control, right? The Stoics have left us with that. We really, truly need to not focus on the things that we have absolutely no control over. It's going to rain tomorrow and it's going to be wet. Yeah, it's going to rain tomorrow and it's going to be wet. Or it's going to be a hot one tomorrow and the sun will be out all day. You make adjustments to everything that the environment throws at you, except forcing the environment and asking it to change on your behalf. So the dichotomy of control, pretty much just accepting the things that you can't and also the things that you can. And if those are things that will make you a better person in your pursuit towards that goal, then by all means, you can focus on those too. But the ones like the simple examples I gave, we truly just need to understand that and let go. And then the next thing I think I want to talk about is clarifying our values. And I've been alluding to it so far throughout. I think I'm at the 10-minute mark. Hey, guys, look, if you're still watching at this point, you know it. You're rock stars, and I appreciate you being here. As always, I appreciate your time. But yeah, we need to clarify our values. And I've been alluding to that the whole chat so far, but make them intentional. Make them intentional. Ask the question, are yours yours? We talked about that earlier. Are they truly yours or are they societal? Are they cultural? Are they peer pressure, dare I say? Is it chasing the neighbors, the Joneses, as they say? Clarify what yours are and ask the questions. Are they truly yours? And if they are not, make the change. And then by going back to making the change, you will be also getting around and clarifying what I said earlier, that feeling behind isn't a sign of failure or that you have failed, right? It's not. It's just a signal that you've been using the wrong measure to measure your self worth and your life. All right. So if you understand that and start to narrow down your values, and you can combine them, what do I mean by that? Once you start to realize which ones are yours and which ones are societal and cultural that might not be yours, you can take bits and pieces and add them to your kit bag and develop even stronger, possibly even newer ones. But yes, the key is to make them yours. And then in making them yours brings me to where I think I want to wrap up at. And you might ask, how did I get from feeling like I did to the statement I made? And clearly it's been a journey, not a marathon, but a sprint. And it's really not hard. It's just that I've done two specific things I want to share with you that got me to that solution that I shared in the middle of our conversation. And the first one is to shift from a timeline based self worth to a values based self worth. Okay. From a timeline based self worth to a values based self worth. And we talked about that. And I understand not everyone is fortunate to be able to do that intentionally and in depth, but it's a start and we can start there. It's a point of departure. And then measure our progress by alignment, not by timelines. Okay? Think I ought to say that again. Measure your progress by alignment and not timelines or speed. Because if you're doing that, going back to what I said earlier about other people's values, that's precisely what you're doing, right? You are, if you're not measuring your progress on alignment with your values and on speed and arbitrary timelines, if you're doing that, I think you're spinning your wheels because it goes back to sooner or later, you're going to hit that wall like I did and start asking. I hope not, but what happens when you continue to measure your progress on someone else's timeline and someone else's speed? When you continue to do that, what you're going to end up with is what I started with by telling you or asking, do you feel emotionally overwhelmed, always thinking that you are not getting there to that next place? You're not like person X down the road. You're not like person X up the road. You're not like person X with a house overlooking a view. You will start to do that if you continue to measure your worth and your life on other people's timelines and speed. That said, it's not easy. Nothing we talk about on our chats are ever easy. I understand that. But I'm here with you. Let me know in the comments what you think and how you get after it. And then we can share and work together because it's not over for me. It's still a process. But to this point, I have been so much more happy and living more of an honest, authentic life just by finding out what I just shared with you. And I just wanted to share that with you and hope that it helps somebody out there. All right. So until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of yourselves and we'll talk again soon. See ya.